The crystalline halls of the Galactic Council chamber stretched for kilometers, their walls pulsing with bioluminescent patterns that represented the collective wisdom of 700 species. Ambassador L. Martinez stood at the center of the amphitheater, her boots clicking against the polished floor as she approached the speaker's dais. Above her, arranged in concentric circles that rose like a metallic coliseum, sat the representatives of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations. L's partner, Oscar Chen, stood 3 paces behind her, his hand resting casually on the data pad that contained humanity's response. His relaxed posture was deliberate, a stark contrast to the rigid formality of every other species present. Human representative. The Supreme Arbiter's voice boomed through the chamber, translated instantly into Earth's standard English. The Arbiter was a Vexler, a species that resembled a massive jellyfish encased in a crystalline exoskeleton. You have been summoned to receive the Council's final judgment regarding your species' continued independence. Elle smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. We've read your judgment, Arbiter, she said, her voice carrying clearly despite the chamber's vast dimensions. 12,000 pages of legal precedent, all concluding that humanity must surrender our sovereignty, dismantle our military, and accept Council governance. Very thorough. A ripple of satisfaction passed through the assembled delegates. The Krathan representative, a being of living stone, rumbled approvingly. The delicate, insectoid Zixtar clicked their mandibles in what their species considered laughter. Then you understand, the Arbiter continued, that resistance is not merely futile, it is unprecedented. In the 43,000 years of Council history, no species has refused integration once the judgment has been rendered. Your compliance is not a request, it is an inevitability. Oscar stepped forward, standing shoulder to shoulder with Al. We have a response, he said simply. The chamber fell silent. Every species present had been integrated into the Council through the same process. Some had resisted briefly. Most had submitted immediately, recognizing the overwhelming military and economic power the Council wielded. None had ever smiled about it. Elle tapped her wrist console, and a holographic display materialized above the chamber floor. It showed Earth, a blue-green marble spinning peacefully in the darkness. You're right about one thing, Elle began. Humanity is unprecedented, but not in the way you think. The hologram shifted, zooming out to show the solar system. Small icons marked humanity's settlements, bustling colonies on Mars and Europa, mining operations in the asteroid belt, research stations orbiting Jupiter. You discovered us 70 years ago, Oscar continued, picking up the narrative seamlessly. A young species, barely spacefaring, confined to a single star system. You watched us, studied us, concluded that we were manageable. Indeed, the Arbiter said, a note of condescension creeping into the translated voice. Your technological development follows predictable patterns. Your social structures are familiar. Your military capabilities are. The being paused, quaint. Elle's smile widened. You based your entire assessment on observation. You never actually talked to us, did you? Never asked us about our history, our nature. What makes us us? She tapped her console again. The hologram changed, showing a montage of images from Earth's history. Ancient armies clashing with bronze weapons, sailing ships crossing turbulent oceans, astronauts planting flags on the moon. Every species here achieved interstellar travel through cooperation, Oscar said. The Vexler formed their first world government 12,000 years before they left their home world. The Krathan spent millennia in peaceful contemplation before reaching for the stars. The Zixtar are a literal hive mind. They've never known conflict within their own species. Your point being? The Arbiter asked, though something in the being's posture suggested growing unease. Humanity reached space while we were still trying to figure out how not to kill each other. Elle said bluntly. We went to the moon while our planet was divided into hundreds of competing nations. We built space stations while we still had active war zones on our surface. We achieved fusion power while we still had nuclear weapons pointed at our own cities. The chamber erupted in shocked murmurs. The concept was almost incomprehensible to species that had spent millennia achieving internal harmony before venturing beyond their worlds. Oscar pulled up new data, humanity's military specifications, industrial capacity, research and development programs. You assumed our weapons were primitive because they're kinetic and chemical-based. You didn't consider that we've spent 10,000 years perfecting the art of killing each other and everything else on our planet. You looked at our fragmented political system and saw weakness. Elle added, you didn't recognize it as competitive adaptation. While your species spent eons building consensus, we spent eons building better ways to win conflicts. The Arbiter's exoskeleton pulsed with agitated colors. You dare threaten the Council? Your single-star system against 700 worlds. Threaten? Elle laughed, a genuine, delighted sound that echoed through the chamber. Arbiter, we're not threatening you. We're educating you. Oscar activated another hologram. This one showed star charts not of human space, but of Council territories. Red markers appeared, scattered across dozens of systems, for the past 70 years. While you watched us from a distance, we've been watching you up close, he explained. Human agents have infiltrated 47 Council worlds. We've mapped your infrastructure, studied your defense protocols, identified your critical weaknesses. Impossible. The Krathan representative boomed. Our security is impenetrable. To species that think like you, Elle agreed. But humans, we lie, we cheat, we adapt, we pretend to be what we're not. It's a survival trait born from 10,000 years of competing against each other. You've had peace for so long, you've forgotten what deception looks like. Oscar's expression turned serious. We've also established trade relationships with 73 independent species. Outside the Council, species you've bullied into submission over the centuries. Turns out, when you offer partnership instead of dominance, people are pretty receptive. The chamber descended into chaos. Representatives shouted in dozens of languages. Security protocols activated, filling the air with defensive shields and sensor rays. The Arbiter raised appendages for silence. This is your response? Espionage and coalition building? You are one species. We are 700. The mathematics of this confrontation are absolute. Elle's smile finally faded, replaced by an expression of cold calculation. The mathematics change when you factor in variables you've never encountered. Human creativity, human stubbornness, human spite. She paused. But mostly human ability to wage war in ways you can't imagine because you've never had to. We don't want war, Oscar added quietly. We're not actually the monsters you're probably imagining right now. We just want you to understand something fundamental. You can't demand our surrender, because we will never surrender. It's not in our nature. You'll learn to cooperate, the Arbiter insisted. All species do. We'll cooperate when it's mutually beneficial, Elle countered. We'll trade. We'll share technology. We'll even help defend Council worlds if they ask nicely. But we'll do it as equals, not as subjects. She leaned forward, her voice carrying across the shocked silence. So here's humanity's response to your demand for surrender. No, not now, not ever. You can try to force us, but you'll discover that humans have turned warfare into an art form you can't comprehend. And here's the crazy idea, you could try treating us as partners instead of primitives. Oscar held up the data pad. It's all in here. Our counter-proposal for mutual cooperation, technology exchange, and defensive alliance. No surrender, no submission, just equals working together. The Arbiter stared at them for a long moment. Around the chamber, 700 species waited to see how their leadership would respond to something that had never happened before. A species saying no, finally. The Arbiter's exoskeleton shifted to a color Elle's translator marked as contemplation. The Council, the being said slowly, will need time to consider this. Unprecedented situation, Elle nodded. Take all the time you need. We've got nowhere to be. As she and Oscar turned to leave, she allowed herself one final smile. Humanity hadn't just refused surrender, they'd changed the galaxy's entire understanding of what was possible. Behind them, the Galactic Council began the long, difficult process of learning to negotiate with a species that had never learned to quit.